I'll see the text message now. Fucking bug. It's like a little like mosquito. I will cream my pants the moment they announce a Spider-Man and Deadpool movie.
What he's saying is he's going to ejaculate all over the movie screen if Deadpool comes out at the end of Spider-Man. I've never seen the third one.
Oh, start a Stuart Little cinematic universe.
Nick Fury comes out at the end of Stuart Little 3. Hello, welcome back to another episode of the IndiGray podcast.
I'm Gray.
I'm Indigo.
I guess we're talking about the MCU today.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I think everybody knows what that means.
You don't know that.
You didn't put your phone on silent before we started this?
Oops, okay. It's on silence now. Hopefully, we don't have a shock mount, so hopefully the vibration doesn't give us bad vibes. Get it?
Oh, man. Our views are going to be at an all-time low.
Oh, okay. This is... We didn't... That's too much.
We didn't plan this.
Oh, no.
We're just naturally gifted at puns. At least I am.
What can we say?
It's more fun that way. Anyway, we're going to be talking about the MCU. I guess we kind of figured we'd get it'd be kind of cool to see a perspective of somebody like myself who's a comic book fan and you who's more of a...
I'm a very casual fan. The only comic book thing that I read was the Hulk, but I know that he gets shit on a lot. Like, his movies have all been really bad.
But in the comic books, he was cool.
Yeah, I really like the story. Like, I read his and I read Spider-Man's, but like, I mean, they did a lot of stuff different, right? With the MCU versus the actual comics.
Yeah, I mean, like, I haven't read like every single comic there is out there, but I've reread Spider-Man a couple times. I've reread Civil War a couple times, the Infinity Gauntlet, Secret Wars. I mean, I read the old Secret Wars a few times, but I just recently read the 2015 one, and man, which is kind of what made me want to do this episode, because I think that's where the MCU should
take off after.
Yeah. I think that's I think that should be the next big event that this leads to.
Yeah. So I guess just starting from the beginning, like, freaking Iron Man. Now, 2008 is when the whole thing started?
Yeah.
And it was just like an experiment. I'm pretty sure like I'd probably say like 80% of the audience didn't know who the hell Iron Man was.
Yeah, I mean, like I was in high school when it came out, and I remember everybody being like, "Oh my God, Iron Man's so cool," and like, he's so awesome, but nobody really knew what Iron Man was or who Iron Man was. It was just kind of like, because it was a big, like, pop culture thing at the moment.
Yeah, because it had like all like the acclaims and like, wow, this superhero movie's actually good.
Yeah, and I mean, like, and then like the hardcore fans knew, like, when Nick Fury came out and said, "I want to talk about the Avengers Initiative," we're like, "Holy crap!" We all just creamed our pants.
I just can't. I saw this thing. Wow.
Mine's not happening.
I just saw this thing because we just got done watching Detective Pikachu like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And like, I saw this thing online where it was like Nick Fury comes out. He's like, "I want to talk to you about the Smash Bros. Initiative."
I saw the meme. It was like, said Detective Pikachu and Sonic movie were the first movies in the Smash Bros. Cinematic universe. I would love that movie though, if they did that. Something like a Smash Bros. Like cinematic universe.
Super Smash Bros. The movie.
But getting a Zelda movie leading up to it would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
and a good Mario movie, not a what are the Goombas? The Goomba.
You'll have to like
I have
put
to yeah,
something
I have
with
to
like
put
the
an image
Goomba,
right here
like
somewhere.
how the Goomba looks, because oh my god, that's it's really bad. Um,
But we got off topic here. um, yeah, like starting with those movies and then moving on to the really bad Hulk movie. Um, but it's still the ending of the Hulk movie was really cool because you see Tony Stark coming out, like came out in the post credit scene. So from there you got Iron Man 2, which was a bad movie when we resaw that.
yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. That movie's not good. That's probably the worst MCU movie there is out there.
Now, I'll openly admit, like I said, stated in the beginning of this, I'm a very casual um, MCU fan. I just kind of just watch it just because I think they're cool and they're fun. I mean, like, I don't know. The whole, like, conclusion, like, building up to it and just the conclusion to it, I don't think we'll ever experience that.
Yeah.
At least for, like, a really long time. Like, just building up all those years, like, they knew exactly what they were doing. Um,
Yeah, it
the
was like a
beginning.
whole event. It was like an
Yeah.
experience. That's why like I forgot who said it that like it wasn't really a movie. It was an experience, like Endgame.
Yeah.
So I guess I mean we can sit here and recap every single moment, and that'll take forever. But
All the movies. But I actually, right before Endgame came out, we were trying to do a whole Marvel movie marathon, and I didn't watch really any of the Phase 1 movies. I didn't even watch the original Iron Man, which was just like,
which
how
is
the
crazy.
hell?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I watched all three Iron Man movies and Thor movies. I fell asleep on all of them. But I think that's because I was tired though. I don't. I think the first one was really good. I
Yeah.
did like the first one. The second one, I woke up and I was like, "Wow, this kind of sucks."
Yeah.
Um,
The second one was not very good, and then the third one was not that good either. Like it's cool seeing Tony's like character development, but like the Mandarin villain could have been done so much better in that movie. And then like Pepper getting those superpowers at the end was really stupid. And then
oh
they
yeah, I
just like
forgot about
operated
that.
on her and like she magically didn't have the powers anymore. Um, so that was dumb. But the way they like interpreted Iron Man like after that was just perfect each time. Like he never needed another like his own movie after that because he was so involved that they were all kind of part of like he was all like they were all little pseudo Iron Man movies, like the Avenger movies and Civil
Yeah.
War, which man,
Yeah, that's definitely like one of the best ones. So I guess we could just say like, what are your favorite MCU movies? Like, if you have to take a look, I mean, we could even pull up like a list of all of them.
well, I mean, I can think of all of them on top
Yeah.
of my head, but it's a very unpopular opinion. I mean, everybody liked Civil War, or most people liked Civil War. I think people like enjoyed
Yeah.
it. I mean, the hardcore fans are gonna obviously like criticize it more because of how different it was. It was different, but like the core was still kind of there, like the essence of it.
Yeah. There was supposed to be a lot more like superheroes in it too,
Yeah,
right?
there's a lot of
Like
superheroes.
the
There's
X-Men were really involved in it and stuff too.
yeah,
So,
what was it? Cable was really involved in it. Um, and the Wasp was involved in it. You know, like there's just so many people that were missing in that movie. But I still put Civil War in my favorite, but just only because of the one moment.
that's favoritism though.
Yeah,
That's just like
I'm not saying it's the best one. It's just my
just your
favorite
personal. That's fine.
because
Like,
I can acknowledge when something's like I can see that it's the best one, but that's not necessarily gonna be my favorite. But Civil War is my favorite because of Spider-Man.
yeah.
You know, it's the introduction of Spider-Man. And every time I watch that scene, it just gives me the jigglies.
Is Homecoming, Spider-Man Homecoming, is that part of the MCU?
Yeah.
Like, do you need to watch that in order to kind of see like what's going on in the MCU? Like, I only watched that movie like once.
No, honestly, like leading up to Endgame, like you actually can skip a lot of movies. Um, One of the most important ones is Civil War because you see like this, the fall of the Avengers. I
Yeah.
think watching each Avengers movie is essential. Civil War is essential. Um, and what else? Thor Ragnarok,
Oh yeah, definitely Thor Ragnarok for
and
sure.
then Infinity War, Endgame. Like, I think even the Russo brothers said that you really only like. I mean, obviously, it's better to watch all 22 movies because that's where the emotional investment comes from.
That's a grind, but yeah,
But you really only have to watch like the two Avengers movies, Civil War, Ragnarok, and then Infinity War, Endgame, and
yeah.
those movies within themselves kind of tell a story. Um, but yeah, I don't. I forgot what we originally asked. What the favorite
Just
one?
like just favorite
Oh right.
MCU movies. So
Well,
you
Civil War.
Civil War.
I mean, you can't go wrong with a classic Avengers movie.
Yeah, that one for a while was actually my favorite MCU movie. It was always between that one and Guardians of the Galaxy. That was kind of came out almost the same time, right?
I think Guardians came out. No,
Like
Guardians came out after
2014.
Age of Ultron.
Oh, okay, that's the one I was thinking about. Yeah. I actually didn't really enjoy Age of Ultron too much. I did like the like how Vision and Scarlet Witch
Yeah.
were like perceived cuz just like kind of go on a decline. Like minus Scarlet Witch, like her moment in Endgame was like,
Yeah.
"Oh shit, like she's still powerful." Like
Yeah. Like I mean, shit. Thanos nuked his whole army because he was so scared of Scarlet Witch killing him.
yeah.
Um, I love those memes. Like you took everything from me. I don't
I don't
even
even
know
know who
who
you
you are.
are.
I like the kazoo kid. It's like, wait, who are you?
What?
You didn't see that one? It was like Scarlet Witch, like you took everything from me, and then it has like the kazoo kid, uh, like photoshopped on top of Thanos. Like, wait, who are you?
Bruh.
But was it the wrestling one was really funny?
Oh yeah,
Um,
because Money in the Bank just happened Sunday, and Ali was just like, "You took everything from me," and Lesnar was Thanos. He's like, "I don't even know who you are," which is actually probably true.
yeah. So but
Yeah,
yeah, but Vision took a big decline after that for sure. Like he was like, it was like Age of Ultron, Civil War, Infinity War. Like
yeah,
that's how like he was like perceived. Like that's how powerful he was throughout the movies.
and he was like such a big part in like, I mean, Age of Ultron. That's kind of is that why he was created?
Yeah, he was created to destroy Ultron.
Yeah. But yeah, the original Guardians of the Galaxy, that is such a good feel movie.
Yeah, and like it
Um,
gave you such a like, I mean, Thor kind of was the first thing that gave you like a look at outer space in the MCU, but Guardians just took it to that next level. Like,
like like even with like the original like Iron Man, maybe not too much, but kind of like going up, like especially the Avengers for sure, kind of like had that Marvel humor and everything like that. But Guardians took it to a whole nother level, and I think everything else after that really kind of tried to replicate it
yeah,
almost, or like it really influenced everything else after.
yeah,
Um,
because Iron Man set the bar for like those first movies, and then Guardians set the bar for like the movies after it.
yeah,
But I will say though, that Volume Two of Guardians was one of my least favorite MCU movies.
I really liked it still. Like obviously it wasn't as like, witty and good feel. I mean, everything needs to have like some kind of story development going for it. It can't always just be like I
Like
don't know.
like like setting up humor spots.
Yeah, and I mean like it still definitely did have it, but yeah, I don't know. I didn't really like the villain
Yeah,
all that
it's
well.
just like this. I feel like the story dragged too much to get there,
Yeah.
and then out of nowhere, it just like went from like 0 to 100 like real quick. And
Yeah.
I don't know. It just wasn't like I feel like the comedy was good, but I feel like you can tell they tried a little too hard sometimes, and I don't know. But I feel like the third one is gonna be really good, which I guess kind of segues to what the real topic is what happens after Endgame in the MCU.
Well, yeah, I mean, we haven't even. Well, we don't need to discuss Infinity War Endgame. I will say, quick note though, um, Infinity War is my favorite MCU movie.
Oh yeah,
That's such a whole. That's like a. Oh, my favorite Zelda game is Ocarina of Time, which also happens to be my favorite video game of all time. But I've been playing that shit since I was like 5 years old, so I
yeah,
can't like I have like every reason to say why. But like Infinity War was just like I don't know, the cream of the crop when it comes to freaking like storytelling, when it comes to like
pacing was amazing.
pacing was really good and like I don't know, it was kind of almost like it was almost like Endgame where like Endgame was like 3 hours and Infinity War was a long movie
It was
too,
like 2.5 or so.
but you're just hooked the whole time. You're just like, "Oh, I want to see like how this like Rocket Raccoon and Thor like get together or like Doctor Strange and Iron Man." And it's just like the inclusion of like Spider-Man in there too. It's really cool and just like like Thanos is like okay, this is like what they're hyping up.
Yeah,
So kind of seeing like what they're going to do and then like oh, it's a superhero movie. Every superhero movie like they always come out on top like no matter how bad they perceive like the villain, but Thanos actually did it and I remember the entire theater was like holy
yeah.
shit
That
like
that ending. Oh man, like you just like that's gonna be like engraved in my like head for like the rest of my life. Just
yeah.
hit the snap and then like the mood of the movie. Just like there was like no music. It was just like everybody was just fading. There's no music, just sounds of like the trees and like people fading and like people freaking out and then, like that scene with Spider-Man. That man, that had me balling. And just
Yeah.
seeing Thanos just like resting and they did an ode to the comic book where at the end of at the end of the Infinity Gauntlet in the comic books, Thanos does the same farm thing, but he lost. That's after he lost, and he was like spared. Like they spared his life. But in this one, he won. He had like just like it was just like such a holy crap moment.
Yeah. Like I don't know, and like that kind of leads to the whole thing too. Like that was a really backstory of like Thanos, and like I think just almost in like any kind of just general, movie, um, he was a really credible villain. Like he legit didn't see any bad of it. Like he did it for a purpose, and he thought the purpose was good.
Yeah, and that's like the the essence of like a amazing villain is when the villain like can convince even people who think good. Like I mean if like if the villain can convince you that he's right,
Yeah.
that's a good villain. Like that he's doing the right thing because I mean it makes sense. There's overpopulation and he wants to balance the universe.
It's
And
true.
I mean that's just he's like a Naruto villain. You don't watch Naruto, but like a lot of Naruto villains, do they like they give all these big speeches, and you're like, it's making a lot of sense right now. I think he should kill the whole village.
Yeah, maybe we can go live in New York now that you know Thanos happened.
Exactly.
Balance. Maybe
The
our damn rent can go down too.
cost of living goes down, but then like you kind of think about like everything that was going on when he snapped. Like there was like I think I saw something online where there's like statistics of like what would have happened. Like planes would be crashing like all over the place because there's like so many planes in the air at the time, and like half the pilots probably would have died, and the co-pilots. So like,
Yeah. Well, I think there was in what was it? Was it Captain? No, it wasn't Captain Marvel. It was at the end of Infinity War. The end credit, like you see like somebody just crashing, and I think there was a plane that went too.
oh, a helicopter
Helicopter.
like crashed into a building.
Yeah.
That's when Samuel L. Jackson was like, "Mother,
Nick Fury, and the most OP character.
Maria Hill,
Who?
Maria Hill."
Oh, I was gonna say the introduction of Captain Marvel.
Which we're gonna get into right now because I hate Captain Marvel. I know it's such a like bandwagony thing, but I legit just don't like her. Like I try to give things the benefit of the doubt and
Yeah.
take the context for what it is. Like it is what it is. Like I try not to bitch too much about how they make things different in the comic books to like the MCU. Like I go on and on about the difference in Spider-Man, like his aunt, Flash, like all of that, but I just don't like Captain Marvel. I just
Like I feel like her character, well, especially in Endgame, like like her beginning parts, like it was like the beginning of her movie. I said like the first time that we watched it, it was just like the first half of her own movie was just like she's very like robotic and just stale.
yeah, which is fair at that point because she has no memory of who she was.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah, when you said that, I was just like, it makes sense. But
But then like the second half, like later when she like realized it, like she still had no personality really. And
yeah,
in Endgame, it should have been after all of that, and she should have had more personality. Even though they filmed the movie before Captain Marvel,
yeah, I was gonna
but
say that.
I feel like if she was a good enough actress, she could have pulled it off.
Well, I don't think she really knew like what she was doing, like what exactly this was going to
Yeah, we'll get
possibly.
an actress who can play it off better.
Well, if she knows like the final, like what the final product and everything's gonna be,
Yeah,
then maybe it might be a little bit different. Just because like they're so on the edge of just like you spoil this, you can't spoil this, don't do this. Like
yeah,
Tom Holland.
and Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah,
Oh man, those interviews are so funny. When like Mark Ruffalo, I think it was when they were promoting Infinity War, him and Don Cheadle, and then Mark Ruffalo's like, "Oh man, you should see this movie. Everybody dies." And then Don Cheadle's like, "Dude," and then like he was like freaking out. Mark Ruffalo's like, "Can you guys edit that part out? Like you're not gonna say anything?" And they're like, "No, no." Like he's like freaking out. And then later in the interview, he's still like, "Oh man, I'm still freaking out." And then Don Cheadle's like, "Just chill, just chill."
oh
It's like
no.
Marvel's like gonna like clamp him by the balls if they.
Speaking of just like really off topic, I just found out Tom Holland has a accent.
I know when you said that, I think I was showing you something, and you're like, he's British. I was like,
Yeah, it was the
yeah, he's
beginning of
British.
the Homecoming or the Far From Home
All right,
trailer
when
where
he's like, don't spoil, like there's spoilers in in this trailer.
yeah, and I was just like, what the hell? He actually sounds like that? I was like, what? Yeah. But anyways, going on, uh, Endgame I think was such a good conclusion to it. I know a lot of people are saying like for a movie itself wasn't that good. Yes, if anybody were just to look at Endgame without
Well, yeah,
seeing any other movie, it'd be like, okay, that's like trying to get into like a Star Wars without
yeah.
knowing what the hell's going. Like that's why I'm not that big into Star Wars because
It's like watching like The Empire Strikes Back with absolutely no context. You're just like, the heck just happened.
it's like yeah, like you have to kind of like everything kind of picks from all the other movies, and that like Endgame especially picked apart
Yeah, Endgame was like
everything else.
such a like love letter to the original fans. Um, it just like it just gave you it gave us like it gave us a closure of Captain America, which is probably the best send off they could have
Oh,
possibly given him.
I love that part. I remember when we watched Endgame, like you were crying over Tony Stark. I think everybody was, and I was like,
I started like I was tearing up throughout the whole movie, like in parts, but like the tears like started bawling out as soon as I saw Spider-Man swinging through the Doctor Strange's hole. That sounds And then like when he hugged Tony, I was like, oh fuck, and I just like
uh,
tears, and then when Tony died, that's when I was like bawling my eyes out like more.
I think the part that like really got me, minus just like I don't know, like obviously like the end, like his last words where he said like I love you 3,000. Like oh man, that's still if I see that I'm just like
It's
no,
like it's so cheesy, but it's just so good.
like don't show it to me. But like when they showed his funeral and like they showed proof that Tony Stark has a heart,
Oh
I
man,
was I was
got
like
chills right now.
don't do it. I was like don't do it.
The second time I saw it, I don't know why this part got me more this second time around, but when they showed Happy and Morgan, his daughter, and she's like, "I want cheeseburgers." Like your
Oh
dad
yeah.
loved cheeseburgers. So I was like, "Oh," because you kind of like forget that Happy was like so close to him, and then when Happy
Yeah.
said that, he just like it kind of looked like he was like holding back tears, and I was just like, "I'll cry for you, Happy." It's, oh, man, it's just this
Yeah.
like that whole movie just like tugs at your heart so much when you're like that hardcore of a fan.
I think especially like we were talking about with one of our friends we saw it with, and it's just like like you get so emotionally attached to these characters and these films because like it essentially is kind of like part of like your childhood and like growing up with it. That's why like I have a really like big connection with like Zelda in general.
Yeah, and like and I always say like I try to explain it to like Brittany like I have just such a weird emotional connection to like Spider-Man. Like I mean heroes in general, but like specifically Spider-Man. And
I mean, you're sexually attracted to your Spider-Man PS4, so yeah,
that was
I
like
don't doubt anything
like the
else.
first electronic I've like been that sexually attracted to. That Spider-Man PS4 is really cool.
It is really good. I'm really jealous of you
Um,
guys still.
but yeah, like it's just like, and that's like I was trying to like explain like I grew up like watching the '90s like Spider-Man cartoon, and then we would watch like the X-Men cartoon. We'd watch like we'd play the video games, and then like later on got into like the comic books, and it's just like just growing up with it like your whole life, and then you finally see it in like this like big massive event. It's just crazy. It's like inexplainable.
Yeah, I guess I don't think we're gonna be able to experience that. Like it's everything's so executed well. Because you have to think about it, like, okay, minus the Hulk, like, they change actors, but everybody has to stay healthy, no controversies, nobody wants to quit the character. That's why they've had, like did another reboot of Spider-Man, even though that this one is the best definitive Spider-Man.
This I think this one is gonna stick. Like it has to.
Yeah, and,
It,
like, the fact that he's, like, honored and he's just, like, I
he's
love
so
being Spider-Man.
yeah. He's such a like humble, nice kid. Like he loves like you said, he loves being Spider-Man. Like he said that he would gladly do like make as many Spider-Man movies as they like want him to make.
Yeah, so just, like, the casting with it, the writing, like the producers, writers, like they know their shit when it comes to these things. Like that's why DC, like they're just a laughing stock. Like I mean, don't even get me started on Batman versus Superman. That was such a I fucking
That's a
hated
good
that
discussion
movie.
about DC because I love DC growing up, and I didn't think Batman vs Superman was as bad.
It's a terrible movie.
But
I hated that.
that's a conversation for another day.
Anyways, staying on topic. So yeah, the conclusion of Endgame. So where would you like to see the
Right.
MCU? Because like as far as like we know it right now, they're doing the Guardians 2, they're
3.
doing or 3, they're doing Doctor Strange 2, the new Spider-Man's coming out in a month,
Doing Black Panther 2.
Black Panther 2.
They're doing what else are they doing? That's
And
confirmed.
Captain Marvel's supposed to supposedly sign like some or Brie Larson did like
Like a 6 movie deal, I think.
yeah.
Which I mean, so after
They got a chance
quick,
to prove it around.
yeah, just kind of quickly going back to that for a sec. I will. I mean, I guess we gotta accept that she's gonna be Captain Marvel. That's fine. Like after watching Endgame like another time and like I was like, okay, I'm just gonna not be bitter about it. That's fine. Like because Endgame for me, like the only negative part about it was Captain Marvel when I was watching it. But I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna let it go. I'll accept it. I'll try to like her. I didn't like her much anymore after the second one time again, but I mean, she has a chance to prove herself, and if like the trailer from Far From Home when he was like, Peter didn't want to do anything, and he's like, I don't want to like be the next like big like hero.
He didn't want to be the big guy.
He didn't want to be like the next Iron Man. He's like, what about Thor? It's like he's off on a adventure or something, and he's like, what about Captain Marvel? It's like where she's unreachable. Now that kind of got me thinking, like, well, they probably won't have Captain Marvel like overshadowing the whole MCU.
Yeah.
She's gonna kind of be like what Thor was to Iron Man in a way, where like the space stuff will stick it to Thor and like have him do all that stuff, and he's like obviously more powerful than the other Avengers, but he didn't overshadow like the other Avengers.
That is true. And plus like Thor's character in the beginning, like it was just like very like typical like what you would like to think like as far as me being a casual fan, I was just like, oh, like that's just how he is. Like he's the god of thunder.
Yeah.
So like you can't really expect, but like really like his character development from Infinity War or Ragnarok to Infinity War to Endgame, I think just in 3 movies alone was just like he had the best character development.
It was like just like I guess people kind of complained that he became too much of a like joke punchline and became more of a comedic relief character. But I don't. I mean, yeah, he did. Like he had really like funny moments in those like 3 movies, but he did have growth like as a person. He like even if you see it from the first movie too, like he was just kind of like this cocky like brute force kind of guy,
Yeah.
and who just wanted to be king like Simba, and then
I was gonna say that.
and then he like and then in Thor Dark World, which is one of the other horrible MCU movies.
Oh yeah.
Um, he kind of like it was more about like Jane and like, he was like more in love and he kind of had to like let her go. Then in Thor Ragnarok, he like lost like everything. You know, he lost well in Dark World he lost his mom, which was like really sad. And then
Yeah.
in Ragnarok, he like all the shit that happened to him in Ragnarok and losing his eye, losing his father.
In the beginning of Infinity War, he lost his brother, so literally everything.
Yeah.
Plus, what do you call
He
it?
killed his sister.
Yeah, that happened, and Asgard was destroyed.
Asgard's like most of his people died, and like he felt responsible for it all. So like it just like that's such a heavy burden for him. And then in Infinity War he had like this whole mission. Like he had I think like the second or third most screen time because of all the
Yeah, like he was I think he was the most determined out of
yeah
anybody to like kill Thanos, and he like finally thought he did, and then the
should've went
worst
for
thing
the head.
happened. And then I mean it's understandable his whole role in Endgame. I
Yeah.
will say, it's still really weird seeing Fat Thor
Oh man, that
at
was
the
like
end. Just like,
if
come on, like,
everybody would have told me that Endgame was gonna have a fat Thor, I would not believe you. I'm like, that's stupid. Like, why would that happen? Like, why would there be a fat Thor?
like, I mean, I guess he just can't lose it all. Like at the very end scene, the
The weight? Are you talking
yeah.
about? Oh,
But I'm just like, why
yeah,
does he still have to be Fat Thor? Like it's such an epic part, but like seeing him there was just like everybody was still laughing.
yeah. Who keeps calling me? The because it was funny. Like when we were first watching it, we had a really lively crowd when we were watching it. Like
Yeah.
people were like clapping and like yelling and like wooing. But
There was a
um,
man. There were 2 grown men holding each other, crying.
I was crying, but I was just holding myself. But the what was I going with that? Oh yeah, there was like that scene where it was like after Tony died and it was like super sad and I think the funeral scene was happening and like everybody was just bawling their eyes out.
Yeah, you could just hear people like sniffling and stuff. And
Yeah, I
I was
was
like,
trying so hard
oh
not to go
man.
like do one of those. I was like my throat was on fire. I felt like I like swallowed like 500 toothpicks. I'm like, don't cry. I mean, I was crying, but I didn't want to like be like
Yeah.
heavy breathing crying. But yeah, it was like really sad. And then out of nowhere, like you just see Fat Thor like looking over Asgard, and like everybody just started laughing. Like even people crying were just like I don't just like flipped. It was just like it was just so funny.
Still laughing with it. Yeah.
And Valkyrie's like the new, I guess, queen of Asgard. So that was
Yeah.
cool.
So that's kind of going
Oh yeah,
with what we were saying like
the original topic of this
a
is
while ago. So obviously they have a lot of plans in store, and like now with the acquisition of, the Fox acquisition of X-Men and Fantastic Four and Deadpool, you as a comic book and being really invested into the MCU, what do you want to see?
So I want to see, I think I've said this like for a few years now. Is I really want to see a Secret Wars like storyline. That's always been like my favorite like comic book series. And in the '90s Spider-Man cartoon, they did like a 5-part episode of the Secret Wars, which is super cool. So and then I really like the original one, but I really want to see the 2015 comic book interpretation of Secret Wars. So to do that, we need to bring in the Fantastic Four because Doctor Doom plays a huge role. Like
Oh yeah,
Doctor Doom needs to be like the next Thanos, basically. That's I feel like that's like the only logical way to go about it. Because everybody's saying like Kang the Conqueror, which is like he's like a time traveler who like manipulates like timelines and stuff, and he's a big villain. I think they can do like a big like movie to that. Like he can be like what Ultron was, kind of like something like
yeah,
that. They can make a movie about that. But I think ultimately they have to go with Doctor Doom.
yeah. It could be because he has an app where like he's been reading like all the comic books, and
Oh
it's
yeah,
like
Marvel Unlimited. It's really cool.
this video is also sponsored by them. But
It's not really.
it could be. They could be looking at us saying like it's like Doctor Strange, like there was one way.
That makes no sense.
This was the only way.
But
I don't know.
yeah, but yeah, like and I had never read that specific. I had never read that specific comic book before until recently, and man, I fell in love with it. I was like, this is so good.
Yeah, and it kind of like as far as from what like you were telling me, it really just if I don't know, like Thanos is nothing really compared to
So what
Doctor Doom.
yeah, in the comic book, spoilers if you haven't seen it, but he literally like Thanos came out to Doctor Doom and Doctor Doom like ripped his spine out like just like that. I was like, holy shit, that is crazy. I mean I don't think they'll do that in the upcoming ones because I don't think they'll bring Thanos around for this story. He wasn't
Yeah.
that important to the story, but it was kind of really cool seeing Thanos there with some of the Black Order, the husband and wife from the I can't remember their names.
Yeah.
But I lost track of what I was saying. Oh yeah, Secret
Right.
Wars. But you need Mr. Fantastic there because, again, spoilers if you haven't read Secret Wars 2 or the 2015 one. At the end of the thing, Mr. Fantastic, he basically gets the powers from Doctor Doom, like his god powers that the Molecule Man gave him, and he like brought, he started like rebuilding the universe. Because if you guys don't know, uh, basically in the beginning of the Secret Wars story, like the multiverse gets destroyed by Doctor Doom, which is I think like because you have to kind of like you have to top what Thanos did. Like you can't like lead up to another big event and it'd be less than killing half the universe. So
Yeah.
what's bigger than that is destroying the whole multiverse. So that logically just kind of makes the most sense.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think as far as like maybe trying to redo everything, I don't think like it'll be as big as this
Well, yeah,
one.
there's I,
As
and
this, like the conclusion is just the whole like Infinity
like
Gauntlet.
yeah, like you said, like we're never in our lifetime. We're probably never gonna see. I mean, maybe later, like way later, but not anytime soon will we see something that like intense and like something that huge like as a cinematic event.
Yeah.
Like we're just not gonna see that. Like as much as Marvel tries to, they're not gonna recreate it. But Secret Wars can be the next closest thing to it.
So I mean, who would really be like the front runners of the Secret Wars? Well, as
Well,
far as like okay, minus just like from a comic book standpoint, like as far as like MCU, like Spider Man's definitely gonna be in there. Captain Marvel's gonna be in
yeah.
there.
Which if they're planning to like do this within the next maybe 7 to 10 years again, um, they I think they should start focusing on also like getting closer to the future. So they they can end off Spider-Man, the current Spider-Man, like at around that time and introduce Miles Morales because that's kind of what Secret Wars did,
Oh,
which is
yeah,
another a big thing going for the future is bringing in like an actual like finally doing Miles Morales in one of the movies, and Miles Morales' like universe got destroyed, and so he like became like the main Spider-Man. He became kind of like Peter Parker's like bodyguard in a way, like going forward. So he became like the only Spider-Man because Peter Parker was like taking care of Parker Industries He's like this big scientist.
Oh,
So
Parker Industries.
so Miles Morales became like the main Spider-Man, which is what they could do in like that time frame, like going to the future. But I feel like Spider-Man, like from this point, needs to start being treated as like the next Iron Man. Like they need to focus the MCU around him now.
Yeah, I mean, especially because like, Peter's really looking up to him. So I would imagine like, I mean, like he has like most like his suit is from Iron Man,
Yeah,
and I think that Happy is gonna like play like I mean he already is gonna play a big role from what we saw in the trailer.
yeah.
Um,
And then like, oh man, I'm so excited to see Mysterio because we've never seen Mysterio in a movie.
yeah, and actually I was just like, like Jake Gyllenhaal actually looks pretty good as
Yeah,
Mysterio.
that's something Marvel always does correctly, minus Captain Marvel. Like they know how to
Casting.
cast like the characters perfectly, which is another good topic is, um, who should play the X-Men and like the Fantastic Four
That's true.
because
I saw there was a petition for Danny DeVito to be the new Wolverine. It's a real thing. It has like 2,500 petitions signed, like
that's
signatures.
that's funny, but I mean, that's not gonna happen.
It could happen. You never know.
I mean, Brock Lesnar did win Money in the Bank, so
I mean, just how are you gonna like? How is anybody gonna take Wolverine?
that's I think like the biggest discussion is who's gonna play Wolverine. I honestly really liked Tom Hardy as a potential Wolverine, but he's Venom already.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. They need to bring Venom into the MCU. That will be like huge for them. Like anything Spider-Man really. Like they have like so much with Spider-Man and he's like arguably like one of the most famous superheroes other than like Superman and Batman. So
Yeah.
it just makes the most sense.
I could definitely see something where like, Spider-Man's movies are getting built up and it's kind of like a Civil War kind of thing. It's just like big clash between him and Venom. I know it's a little different because like Captain America, Iron Man are on the same team.
Huh? In the same team.
Well, like they're both part of the Avengers.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but I don't know. Like the cool thing about Endgame too is that it left like the whole time traveling thing left so many like holes to work around um they worked around like future plot holes that would have ruined some of like for example the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. They can still come into the current MCU without like being like where were you guys the whole time? It's like well we're from a different universe because the dimensions, the multiverse, like got messed up. Although I will say that Mysterio I think he's lying. Obviously, he's just trying to trick.
He a liar.
He's trying to trick Spider-Man and Shield, but I think he's lying, but he doesn't know that he's not lying. You know what I mean? Like he's lying about him being from a different universe, but he doesn't know that there actually is like multiverses that happen because of the Endgame events.
Oh, I get what you're saying now.
And
Yeah.
so that just I think opens up the doors for Fantastic Four and the X-Men to come out. Which again, who can play Wolverine?
Who can play Deadpool?
Oh man, as you guys can see, I have Deadpool and Spider-Man comics. I will cream my pants the moment they announce a Spider-Man and Deadpool movie.
What he's saying is he's gonna ejaculate all over the movie screen if Deadpool comes out at the end of Spider-Man.
I mean, they're gonna do it in this one,
You never know.
but
They could
that's
do it.
true. They might have they could have preemptively recorded stuff because they knew the merger was happening, and then once the merger happened, they're like, okay, so good thing we recorded this because we're gonna be able to put these characters together. I just really want to see a Spider-Man Deadpool movie. That would be so freaking good.
That'd be, I don't know,
That'd
pretty
be like,
controversial, but I mean, it would be pretty cool. Just like, I don't think maybe the sales wouldn't be as big into it. It would be really cool to see it though.
I think so. I mean, Deadpool's
like-
a big selling movie. Spider-Man's a big selling movie.
But like, Deadpool has to be rated R because of
Oh, yeah.
Deadpool.
And yeah, I mean, I think Disney can do it. I think they should do it. I don't know if they will do it. I don't think we'll see a Deadpool and Spider-Man in this generation of movies.
Yeah.
So basically, uh, we got a little derailed, but um, the next big focal point needs to be the introduction of the Fantastic Four and the X-Men, so they can lead to the Secret Wars storyline. Um, and
Yeah.
again, going with like the third time they're doing Fantastic Four in the last 15 years, I think.
I mean, they've done Spider-Man 3 times. No one's complained.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm
'Cause it's
saying. Like,
Spider-Man.
that's what I'm saying. Like this time they have to get it right. 'Cause
Oh
it's part of
yeah.
the MCU.
Well, the last one especially was just
Yeah,
a flop.
I honestly didn't even watch the last one.
Yeah.
The Mr. Fantastic, that guy, the actor, whoever it was a horrible choice for Mr. Fantastic. Michael B. Jordan as the Human Torch was okay, I think.
I like
know
Miles
that
Teller, but I don't know.
he's a good actor, but not for Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I did see, and maybe I'll put the image right here, but there's like a Photoshop version of Josh Krasinski from The Office, Jim from The Office.
Oh yeah.
Him as Mr. Fantastic, and he looks really good as Mr. Fantastic. I don't think they'll cast him. He actually he was supposed to be. I think he was a front runner for Captain America. Actually,
What?
yeah. If I think I read it correctly, that he was considered for it, but he then later just turned refused the role. Like they didn't offer. I don't know. I don't think they offered him the role, but he took his name out of the running because he felt like he wasn't gonna embody Captain America correctly.
Good choice.
Which I mean, came to Chris Evans, which is a great Captain America.
Yeah, you can't. I don't know. There will never be another Captain America.
I really liked Jessica Alba as Sue, the Invisible chick.
Yeah, that was in the original one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably probably
Actually,
Other than
I think the
that,
casting for that
being
original
attractive.
Fantastic Four was really good. I personally really like that casting.
yeah.
I think that for the current for the future of it, a good Human Torch would be, I think, Zac Efron. Because Human Torch is kind of kind of show offy, showboaty, and he's supposed to be good looking, and he's kind of a goofball. I think Zac Efron would make a pretty good
I
Human
just
Torch.
want something to come up where it's who the hell are you? Kind of like in Infinity War where he turns around as the Guardians of the Galaxy people. They say that to Zac Efron. It's who the hell are you? And he says, I'm Ted Bundy. I don't know.
Deadpool making Ted Bundy jokes at him. That'd be pretty funny.
Oh, I could definitely see that because I mean, he really can do whatever the hell he wants.
Or making High School Musical references to him. I think Zac Efron would be a good choice. He's a young actor. He's gonna be around for a while, and I don't know. I could just see him in the MCU. I did see something about
I mean, they have Paul Rudd in the MCU, so anything's possible.
they did have this Photoshop fan made art of Zac Efron as Adam Warlock, which I forgot to talk about too. Adam Warlock was supposed to be this he's basically a godlike humanoid or person that people speculated to come out in Infinity War, kind of the same way that Captain Marvel saved the Endgame, kind of that scene.
Oh yeah.
I think people were expecting Adam Warlock to be something like that, but he's kind of tied a bit with the Guardians of the Galaxy, so I can definitely see him coming out in Guardians 3, kind of starting off as a villain for that movie, and then kind of turning into a good guy.
I'm all for it. I don't know anything of this, but yeah.
But yeah, I just remembered because I saw the Zac Efron fan art that made him into Adam Warlock, which I don't think he would be bad, but I think he would be a good Human Torch instead. He's too, I don't know. I don't think he has that as much of a serious tone to him.
Did you see Ted Bundy movie?
I did, but Ted Bundy was kind of goofy,
Oh no, that's true.
And Adam Warlock is not a goofy character. For the Thing, though, I don't know who I would. You know the Thing, right?
The Thing. Oh yeah, The Thing.
What would be a good actor for that? don't know.
Don't know.
The original guy was pretty good. The first guy, I don't even know who the actor is, but he was pretty.
The
pretty
Thing. I don't know why I was thinking of Thing 1 and Thing 2.
good. From Cat in the Hat.
Yeah.
Um,
They need a Dr. Seuss like cinematic universe.
that'd be pretty cool. I'd watch that.
And then Thanos is basically the Lorax.
I loved Cat in the Hat. I thought Mike Myers' Cat in the Hat was really funny. That's our dogs in the background crying.
The next podcast episode we're going to do a movie review of the Lorax.
Or Stuart Little 2 and 3. I'm gonna watch it after all.
Oh yeah. That's a good trilogy.
Stuart,
I've never seen the third one.
oh, start a Stuart Little cinematic universe.
Nick Fury comes out at the end of Stuart Little 3.
That's my dog. If you don't see, you can see her. Hey, Sky.
Oh my god, you just got a shitload of dog hair on my beer.
Did she really?
Yeah.
All right, so for sure to wrap this up because the dogs keep interrupting us. Yeah, I don't know. I think the end game of the MCU at the moment should be Secret Wars. That's my.
As long as they develop Captain Marvel, because I really feel she's going to be the front runner. I really think it should also be Black Panther.
Yeah, actually, yeah, with Black Panther's popularity, I mean, Black Panther played a really big role in Secret Wars 2015, which another spoiler, Doctor Strange left him, or whoever like was worthy of like finding this cave that he knew that if he died he had to like leave behind these things because he assumed that they were gonna have to like try to defeat Doctor Doom, and he left back an Infinity Gauntlet with the Infinity Stones. And Black Panther like used it to fight Doctor Doom, which is crazy. So I can maybe see something like that happening.
Then he says, Doctor Doom will have nothing but dust and blood.
That was a pretty good accent. But yeah, I mean, obviously Black Panther. I don't know how long Benedict Cucumber is gonna want to stay around.
That's what I was gonna kind of say. I don't know how long they're gonna go with Doctor Strange, but if they do something where he kind of knows the future and he actually dies, I think that'd be a perfect introduction to Doctor Doom, the next big villain.
Yeah,
something like that.
I mean, Doctor Doom kills Doctor Strange in Secret Wars 2. He like obliterates him, so that'd be kind of cool to. I mean, they probably, like, if they don't have Doctor Strange long enough for that to build, they can still have maybe Doctor Doom kill Doctor Strange and have, like, that be a big death. The next, like, one of the next big deaths. And although I do read a lot of the comic books, I still don't know why Thor is a girl in this movie. I mean, in this comic. Series. But in Battle World, Doctor Doom does have a whole army of Thors, so that's pretty cool to see. But the main Thor is a woman, and I don't know how that happened. So I gotta go back and read that because that's pretty interesting.
Maybe they'll have who Thor passed the torch in Endgame be the woman Thor.
It could be maybe Valkyrie could play like. I mean, that doesn't make sense in the comic story, but they can do whatever they want.
You never know.
As Guardians of the Galaxy, that'd be pretty cool. You think that's gonna be like the next, like in Volume 3? They could potentially. I think Chris Hemsworth signed another multi-movie deal.
Like that, it just makes sense too. Like the chemistry is just all good, and like that was some of the best parts.
There's an actual comic that's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh really?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
I actually didn't know that either.
Yeah, that'd probably be the next big movie I want to see. But I mean, these movies aren't going to come out for another like couple of years. They're taking a break, which is definitely understandable because they just concluded something really amazing.
Yeah, we just like it's kind of like Thanos sitting back and just like relaxing, but not for too long because while you're making a little soup, the Avengers gonna come and chop your head off.
It's true. Making little soup. Grandma soup.
Although Captain Marvel did play a role in Secret Wars too. I mean Secret Wars, so that I mean,
Is she still that in that comic too?
nah, she's a pretty decent character. You know what's crazy is Cyclops in that character in that series. Cyclops gets the power of the Phoenix beforehand, and then Doctor Doom just cracks his neck and he dies. And it just happens out of nowhere. I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah. It would be really cool to see Doctor Doom now that you mentioned like all the shit that
he's
got
a
going.
really good character. Like he's always been a very beloved villain. So, um, I think it's gonna be like the next big villain that people can like really kind of like get behind, like the way that people really like Thanos.
Yeah. We shall see though.
We shall see. That
But
should I guess I should wrap this up. I won't. I won't add more.
that is the conclusion.
You'll have to wrap it up for me, or else I'll keep talking.
All right, we're wrapping it up. Stay tuned for another episode to come soon. I'm just
Cool.
gonna get closer to the mic till we conclude.
What if I get closer to the mic too?
I can out talk. Not out talk. I can power. I can overpower you with my voice.
That sounds hot.
Good thing I have this pop filter right in front of my face. Pop. Finger pop.
All right, we're gonna end it right there.